everybody. Welcome to This Week in Startups on Thursday. Molly, I'm back at it. I'm meeting founders early.
Yes.
And I'm so excited. Today, I have a founder and CEO who is making an AI-powered search engine that converts any food recipe into a vegan alternative and tells you, how to do that. AI, we're wondering what are the uses. Well, we found out with this great founder, and she is from India. And I asked her a bunch of questions about entrepreneurship in India, and I got a huge lesson. And this is really what This Week in Startups is about. You get to meet an entrepreneur, you get to learn, you get to be inspired. I came out of this interview just ready to go to India and meet 10 more Indian entrepreneurs. Really, really excited that we're bringing a lot of early stage interviews back to This Week in Startups.
Absolutely love it. And this is an ongoing thing, by the way. I've got one in the can that is similarly global and fascinating, and we're just going to keep on doing it because This Week in Startups. However, we also like to dive into This Week in Streaming. And we became briefly main characters on Film Twitter for one day. You, me, and Lon Harris. Mostly you.
Mostly me.
So we're going to read some of our feedback. And
a Mean Tweets edition. We're doing, shout out to Jimmy Kimmel. We're doing Mean Tweets.
We are doing Mean Tweets.
J-Cal edition.
We're stealing it a tiny, tiny bit. But we also were inspired to step out of our comfort zones and watch some of the movies from the very list that kicked off all this kerfuffle.
Yes. So A.O. Scott's movie list. We watched Neptune, Frost. And we will give our unvarnished take on this number 2 list on A.O. Scott's top 10 movies. And I, for the first time, will demand a rating from Molly and Lon with no 8s. You will be shocked at the results. As well, I will read my first movie review in a decade. I used to write movie reviews. It's my first in a decade, and I will read it live on the air. And you will determine who is the better movie critic, me or A.O. Scott.
It's really going to be quite an amazing show, friends.
I will also talk about the DC universe.
We got some DC universe update.
Wonder Woman, Batman, all that kind of good stuff.
We do a little casting because clearly we're just taking over the whole industry now.
Absolutely. Our opinion matters most to us. It's going to be a great show.
Stick with us.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by Embroker. The Embroker Startup Insurance Program helps startups secure the most important types of insurance at a lower cost and with less hassle. Save up to 20% off traditional insurance today at embroker.com/twist. While you're there, get an extra 10% off using offer code TWiST. LinkedIn Jobs. A business is only as strong as its people, and every hire matters. Go to linkedin.com/twist to post your first job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And Squarespace. Turn your idea into a new website. Go to squarespace.com/twist for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, use offer code TWIST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the program. Today on the program, we have a seed stage startup from India, and it's called EatKind. The founder's name is Neetha Avalakki. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you for having me here.
So we've been looking for interesting startups. We look all over the world, and our producers found you. And we thought, wow, what a great idea. Tell everybody, what is EatKind?
EatKind helps anyone who is looking to eat plant-based or vegan food convert any recipe in the world into vegan. So our search and discovery engine takes in a recipe name or a recipe URL from any recipe website that you ask it to veganize and scans the ingredients and lets you know what you can use as swaps for all the animal-based ingredients in a recipe. So this is done location specific. So if you're using this in the US, you will be provided with options, products that you can buy in your possibly local store or online from American products that are available to you there. And so currently we are in 3 markets. US and India is what we launched with. And a few months later, we also did UK. So if you're trying this from UK or Europe, you will see products that are available in UK.
And so would I be correct in thinking if a recipe called for in one culture, butter, in another culture, ghee, in another culture, olive oil. Maybe people's preferences would be different. It'll take that into account.
Absolutely. So this is part of our own language training for our engine to understand the different names that are used in recipes and ingredients. So for example, the example that you provided was ghee. Ghee is also known as clarified butter. So the recipe could be calling it either. So depending on who the creator of the recipe would use different terms for this. But while you're looking at the recipe from US, you will see ghee options that you can actually buy in the US, which you probably did not know existed. So, and in India, it would show some of the local players here that make vegan ghee.
Yeah, I mean, you could have creme fraiche in France, or you might have sour cream in the US, depending on the palate. And then, of course, now there are tons of vegan or vegetarian options for all of those. So, you know what always works great is when a founder shows their product here on This Week in Startups. So, would you mind giving me a quick demo in the audience?
So, we're at eatkind.co. So, this has
so for people who want to visit it right now, eatkind.co, no M, right? .co.
.co, right. So we have a simple search box on the page. So this is just one single search box where you can go type out what you feel like eating today. So it could be something like a lasagna, for example.
Oh, you got me at lasagna. I love lasagna. There it is. LASAGNA. Yeah. So it's looking for ingredients. And then here we go.
So we can click on the Martha Stewart recipe. So when you look for a lasagna recipe, it shows up popular recipes from around the world, and these are not specifically vegan recipes. So now what this has done is that it's passed the Martha Stewart recipe, detected what ingredients are possibly animal-based, and recommended products to you in the US that you can find as a replacement for these ingredients.
And so if it's a meat lasagna, obviously you got plenty of different choices that you might be able to swap out that are in the meat category. Some of the mock meat companies like Beyond Sausage or Beyond Meats, etc. Right? There's so many different brands. And then obviously with cheese, okay, that's vegetarian but not vegan, and so you're going to need some cheese. And there's tons of that available, obviously. Parmesan cheese, we keep some vegan Parmesan cheese in the house.
Yeah. So how this works, for example, if I tried this in India, and we do not have too many mock meat suppliers. So if you had to look for replacements for Parmesan, you would be given options of possibly nutritional yeast that you can use as a replacement, because there aren't many manufacturers of Parmesan, which is vegan. Or, for example, ricotta cheese, the engine would ask you to use tofu in place of a store-bought, veganized ricotta cheese. So it tries to find the closest replacement for you based on where you are.
Listen, I've been dealing with business insurance for 3 decades. I kid you not. Switching providers has always been a nightmare. Too expensive, takes too much time, and often doesn't guarantee you're going to get any better coverage. But now you can make switching radically simple with Embroker. Embroker is the perfect destination for industry-tailored commercial insurance. It's business insurance specifically for startups. Yes, you're listening to This Week in Startups. That's why they're here. That's why we're here. Embroker's single application will help your startup get 4 quotes for 4 lines of coverage in but 15 minutes. They match you with expert brokers for unmatched service that goes well beyond your policy. And listen, Embroker is so amazing. I use it. Again, it's just like a testimonial here. I use it. I love it. My team loves it. Makes life easy. Try Embroker today with the code TWiST and you get 10% off their startup package. Embroker.com/twist. Embroker, EMBROKER.com/twist, and use that promo code TWIST for 10% off. We love the product. Thanks for supporting us for so many years here at This Week in Startups. Now, is the reason that you're able to do this semantically so quickly across so many different categories? I noticed it pulled a lot of different recipes. I remember 5 or 10 years ago, I think there was some sort of tagging or CSS HTML project where when you build a recipe on the web, it knows ingredients, it knows steps, and you actually write the code so that Google knows how to organize them. I don't know what that's called, that standard, but there's a web standard for recipes, is there not?
Right. So this is called either a schema or structured data. So Google provides a guide on what different types of structured data exist for the search engine to understand. So the other examples of structured data could be a carousel, a list. So any listicle would be structured as a list, and a recipe is structured as a recipe. So it's divided into what is the description of the recipe, what are the instruction steps, and what are the ingredients. And it can go further down into what are the components in the ingredients, which is what is the quantity, what is the unit, and what is the ingredient name, and so on. But our understanding of ingredients comes more from understanding a ton of open product lists that are there. So we have to scrape thousands and thousands of products to understand how they are exactly tagged. So when I say products, this is usually what you buy at grocery stores. And we had to scan these to understand how the ingredients are named so that we could get a deeper understanding of what goes into the cooking and not just the structure of the recipe.
Right. So for people who haven't seen this before, I'll just pull up very quickly. Google, in order to make search work better, has documented a bunch of different structured data sets. So here is the code and how you write a recipe how-to item list. And so when you're writing your code, you would say, hey, these are items. Hey, these are steps. And then that gives Google the ability to index them, which is why when you go to Google and you see recipes, they're done so well. And here is actually the code, how it is written. But this same structured data, I assume, doesn't exist for all products out there. And it's a little bit harder. So you had to do that work yourself.
Right. So it does exist for product. So we had to scrape like several sort of marketplaces or e-commerce places where products are sold and see how they are tagged. So if you had to buy a milk product, how is a milk tagged versus condensed milk and evaporated milk in different countries? So this is how we train our engine to learn about ingredients, because ingredients are nothing but products that you buy in stores.
Right. So what is the business model here? Clearly, we understand the need for this. The number of people who are becoming vegan or vegetarian grows each year. I think the bigger trend, correct me if I'm wrong, is people who are going to maybe eating a lot less meat. So maybe people are trying to have 2 or 3 vegan, and I don't know what that's called.
Flexitarian.
Oh, flexitarian? I like that.
Right. Yeah.
So I have heard that term. So yeah, I guess flexitarians are just trying to maybe not eat meat 7 days a week, maybe get it down to 2 days a week, 3 days a week, which is great for people's health, I understand, and obviously good for sustainability on the planet. So how do you think you're going to make money from this? Is this something consumers will pay for? You put in an app, you get a subscription, you think? Or do you think you make money from it from affiliate fees? That's always tough. Or advertising? What's your revenue plan here as a startup?
You rightly pointed out our big market is the flexitarian market. And this is an ever-growing market of people who are wanting to reduce their meat and dairy consumption. And our goal is to not currently, this could be looked at as a very cool AI tool that can, veganize meals at the snap of like the click of a button. But going forward, our goal is to get more people to actually go buy these ingredients and cook a meal. So we will definitely be looking at having a subscription model for users who want to, in the future, create a meal planner that helps them meet their personal goals of eating less meat and less dairy, and also stick to the cuisine and diet that they are familiar with already and not navigate away from it. So I think that is one of the biggest challenges that flexitarians have, is that they do not have enough knowledge about the plant-based sector or the world like vegans do. And they want more options in general. and they probably do not want to cook differently, especially if they're cooking at home for their entire family. So we are looking at mostly a subscription-based model, but also we want to fulfill the goal by making it easy for users to add to cart and check out these ingredients as well when they're looking at veganizing.
So you could have,
recipe.
I guess, in the United States, Amazon's whole food product or Amazon's, or you could have multiple.
Absolutely.
When you click on some, mock meat, you could have, or tofu or something, or some mock spread or cheese. You could have links to other ones. You could monetize that on the margins. It's not really great revenue for a startup. It's really not
Absolutely.
pretty. Yeah, it's not so expensive.
That can't be the main business model for us, but we would definitely do this if it means convenience for our users, for our end users.
What I love about your subscription idea is if it's a subscription product, if people are getting value from it, because if they don't, they unsubscribe. So it's one of the great things about the subscription business model is you get that feedback as a founder, and your team and you are going to have to work really hard to provide enough value. Obviously, this is on the web to start. I guess you're going to move to a mobile app. That would be a great place to get subscriptions. Do people in India, are they mainly on Android on a percentage basis? And then do they subscribe regularly to apps? Is subscribing to apps something that you see as a popular thing to do in India? You could educate me a little bit on the market there.
Yes, Android is a big platform in India, and Indian consumers subscribing to apps has not taken off like it has in the Western markets yet. So even if it did, it would be mostly in the entertainment businesses like Netflix type. So we have our own Indian versions of it to watch TV shows and movies, or could be stories. So I believe the market is getting hot in that space in India. But EatKind,
so it hasn't happened yet, but that's right. An opportunity. My understanding is like iPhone's like 5% of the market there. I would assume iPhone is the top percent of the market, the people who have maybe the most money to spend. So those might be the best market to go after. So what do you do as a founder? Do you go after iPhone for 5%, which might be 50% of the subscription revenue, or do you go for the 95% Android? What are you thinking? How do you make that decision?
So for EatKind itself and the flexitarian market, the big markets are in the US and Europe, and that's what I will be targeting. And
Smart,
US is mostly iPhone, and Europe is a mix, but also like my iPhone is big, so that iPhone is not something that I can ignore. But coming to the tech aspects of this, right? We're no more looking at developing two separate code bases to support multiple platforms. So we will be looking at a single code base and packaging them as apps on both the platforms.
If people don't know this in the United States, everybody assumes Android is still in the lead here, but it's actually 55%. So right now, every potential new hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. Your runway might be a little tighter right now, right? And fundraising, certainly that's a little bit harder. So you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the most qualified candidates available. That's why you have to use LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Then you add your job to LinkedIn, and you get that purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile. That spreads the word that you're hiring, so your network sees the purple ring. What a great innovation over at LinkedIn Jobs. We love all the easy-to-use tools that LinkedIn gives us. That's where we do our hiring, like screening questions. Screening questions, they filter out the non-serious candidate, and it's really that simple. LinkedIn is where the most qualified people are, and that's where you're going to find your next great hire, just like I do. And so go find amazing, talented candidates today, and you'll understand immediately when you get to LinkedIn Jobs why they are rated number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to, and they help you do it faster. Post your job for free. That's right, for free. LinkedIn.com/twist. That's LinkedIn.com/twist to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply because they're giving you something for free. What's it like as a founder in India in terms of trying to understand and conquer the US market while you're based in India. I assume you get this great arbitrage. My understanding is a great developer in India might cost how much a year? Tell me what a great iOS engineer might cost.
Okay, I'll need to convert, but would probably cost about 60,000
US.
US dollars per annum.
Which would be half to a third.
67.
In the US, you would expect to pay 120 to 150. So you can, that's a significant arbitrage. You could have 2 iOS engineers for every one in the US.
Absolutely, right. But EatKind is currently hiring globally. Our developers are in Indonesia, Ukraine, India. So, well, since it's 100% remote country, I also want to leverage the talent worldwide. Also, where I live, which is Bangalore, India, is also a startup hub. And hiring talent is expensive, even if it's, India standards. It's expensive to do in India. So hiring globally helps because there could be a lot of mission-aligned developers who would want to work for a startup like EatKind. So that broadens my search for talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's interesting to hear. Even in India, you're raising money there and then thinking, hey, maybe Bangalore or some other places might even be more affordable than India. Engineers, obviously, in India have been coveted for a long time. So you might be able to do even better in Eastern Europe, et cetera. Tell me about raising money for a startup in India. I know Y Combinator has aggressively tried to court, especially when they were doing remote entrepreneurs in India. Is Y Combinator a bit of a force there? Are you seeing American angel investors or American venture investors dabbling in the Indian market today, or are you raising money from angels who are local?
Good question. So currently, EatKind is bootstrapped. I'm in the middle of closing an angel and family and friends round. And my investors are both based out of the US and India, and I've incorporated in the US.
Okay, Delaware C Corp. Got it.
Yes. Looking at the future, it does seem like American investors understand the space more and the market. So it's a little difficult to explain the flexitarian or the plant-based sector to the Indian market or to investors based out of India. And I think the primary reason is because India is already mostly vegetarian.
Right.
So it could seem a little alien that now some people would need help in veganizing specific meals.
Yeah, if you've been eating vegan for generations or vegetarian for generations, you don't need this tool. If you're an American who's eaten meat and potatoes your whole life, or you're from Ireland like me or whatever, you're Irish, yeah, you might need to start to think about, well, how do I replace eggs in some bread or cake I'm making? How do I replace butter? What's not going to ruin the taste? When you raise money, what are the valuations like in India? Are the valuations different? So for friends and family around here in the US, typically $2, $3, $4 million would be the valuation. Is it the same in India? Or do you have lower valuations because the market, the cost basis is lower for running a business there?
I think this year is slightly different from the previous year, last year.
Yes.
And Indian startup valuations were as crazy as the Silicon Valley startups. And currently, I'm raising family and friends around at a $1 million valuation because I do not want to get into the problem of high valuations with this economic circumstances.
Yeah. So $1 million, you dilute 10%, you get enough money if you're frugal to go for a year or maybe even 18 months and figure out product market fit. And then how do you, as somebody based in India, understand the US market? Do you need to hire folks? Just like I have no idea how to build a startup in India. People always ask me to invest in Indian startups. And I'm like, I really don't understand the culture. You're from India. I don't know if you've spent time here. How do you, as a founder, start to understand the US consumer? What's your process?
Yeah. So for me personally, I've traveled to the US a lot with my previous work as well. I've built products for US-based companies. So I've traveled to the Silicon Valley a lot. So I understand a lot about the US culture as well as the plant-based market there. Spent a lot of time at Blue Bottle with Oatly coffee and...
Oh, yeah, you got the Oatly. Sorry about that. I don't know if Kamat's not very happy about that. I guess you listen to All In sometimes.
Right.
Oatly by default.
That's sort of the default that's available in most coffee shops in the US, right? So culturally, I'm a little aware. I do keep traveling to the US, but as we grow, if we need anything that's customer facing, like customer support, we'll have to be hired in the US. For the tech part of it, I can hire anywhere around the globe.
When you look internally in India, what are the startups that Indian entrepreneurs and domestically that people are going after? Is it video games? Is it productivity software? Where is the excitement in terms of the entrepreneurial community, in terms of new ideas and things that are being built and funded there? Is it e-commerce? Is it on demand? What are people building?
Yes, so I think there is a sort of a spike in regional language content in India. So India is not a huge homogeneous market like the US. We have different cultures, subcultures, lots of different languages. So the upcoming products, what is tagged as the next 500 million, are regional language content that Indian consumers are currently consuming, paying for. And that's where a lot of startups are innovating and VC money is going into as well.
So you've got 1 billion people. I believe that's
who
around the
speak
number.
English, right? Yeah.
But then you have people, I guess, Hindi, Bengali, and
absolutely
Punjabi. I mean, I meet all my friends. They tell me these, but there's 20 more. And these are all distinct, unique cultures into themselves. Would they all use the same apps, or do they need to have different apps? Would the app need to be almost regionalized for that different group, those different groups?
Yeah, every app in India built for the Indian market needs to be regionalized. So they all need to support multiple languages, content in multiple languages as well. It could be movies or music or, audiobooks, whatever it may be.
Fascinating. I just started watching a TV show, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it is called Kota Factory, Kota Factory. It's become quite popular here in the U.S.
Really?
And it's I saw it on Netflix, and it was one of the highest rated shows. You know what I do is when I'm looking for a new TV show to watch, I look for a show that's like on the critics list, and this one, Kota Factory. I guess they've done 2 seasons. It's a comedy, but it's about people going to, I guess, this region to do very well on their standardized exams. I was just curious if you had seen it or not, because it seems to be getting very popular here in the US.
This is the first time I've heard of it.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it's a Hindi TV show, if
I think that might be right.
Mistaken. Yeah. Right, yeah. Yeah. Did you enjoy the show? Oh, that's quite highly
I'm in the
rated.
first. I just finished the first episode when I was on the treadmill. I like to watch a TV show on the treadmill, and I did enjoy it because I got to see young people in India and the pressure they're under to perform on standardized tests, and it reminded me a bit of, maybe not as much today. Standardized tests are not a big thing here in the U.S. as much, but when I was growing up, in the 80s and 90s. Standardized tests were probably peaking as like the most important thing in your life. And in this series, for these young individuals, their entire lives are revolved around these. Is that your experience in the educational system there? The standardized testing? Tell us about it. We don't know. So for the audience, explain the pressure you were under in whatever, high school or and getting into college, and these standardized tests. What are they called and what's it like?
I'm an exception, not a rule. My education has been, and the kind of pressure that I've had from my parents have been very different from a typical Indian student, but we do have what are called board exams. Board exams is what a student takes around 10th grade, which is at age 15, and 12th grade at age 17. And parents make it out to be that this is the greatest thing in your life, and everything depends on the marks or the grade. We call it marks here, that you score in these exams. And we have to study something like 13 different subjects for a period of month or two that we'll have to give these final exams. So these are not really continuous grading. But I think now a lot of schools are moving to a continuous grade system. So there's lesser pressure on the kids, and kids also continuously study. And there are a lot of, in bigger cities, a lot of alternate forms of education. But board exams and also entrance exams. So if you have to get into engineering or medical, so there are like different entrances that you'll have to take, which is called an entrance exam to get a seat into that. And especially if your parents are not very privileged, they will not be able to pay for a seat. So it's very important, given how the competition is with the US, with the Indian population. These are extremely competitive exams, and unless you're in the 99 percentile, you're likely to not get a seat in a very good university or a college.
Curious how you're looked at as an entrepreneur, and also as a female entrepreneur. Is entrepreneurship looked at as like a really awesome thing for a young person to do in their 20s, or is it looked at like you people are crazy? And then even more specifically, as a female founder, how are you looked at in India by your peers, by parents, or your parents' friends? What do they say about you being an entrepreneur and starting your own company? Do they think you're crazy, or do they think it's awesome?
Mostly they think it's really, really awesome. They're very proud of what I do. I started my startup journey in 2008. This is my second startup. Back then, when I joined, my first job was with Honeywell. I quit Honeywell to join a startup, which was angel funded back then. And during 2008, people thought I was crazy to do that. That I would not work for a US-based company, and rather work for a small Indian-based startup. But now the startup ecosystem is so big in India, and probably the fourth biggest in the world, where I come from, Bangalore. So it's sort of flipped and reversed. So if you're in Bangalore, India, and if you're not working for a startup, or if you're not an entrepreneur, it seems strange.
Oh, really? Fantastic.
Right. Yeah. But when I started my career, I did get counseled a lot by people telling me that you shouldn't be doing this. You should look at career stability, where you can settle. But I always wanted to learn more, and I wouldn't find these opportunities in big corporates or organizations. But I'm happy to see that things have changed. And also I notice this when I'm hiring interns, that they're really excited to work for startups. And they know that it's a huge learning opportunity for them. So it's not about the money that they can make, but they are always, so when I ask them why you want to join EatKind or a startup, they always tell me that, most of them tell me that they want to be an entrepreneur and start their own company. So they want to learn how we work within a startup and how we think about business model and other things, even if they're interviewing for a role of a developer. So I think that's really awesome.
It is so great to have you on the program. Thank you for educating all of us on what's going on in India and the startup landscape. Continued success with EatKind.co. Everybody check it out. Neetha, it's been a pleasure. I wish you great success with it. And America and India, we have such a great relationship, these two countries. So many of the entrepreneurs I invest in here are first or second generation from India. And it's really amazing to see the entrepreneurial spirit. It just to be blossoming and growing there. I think the fact that so many of the great technology companies here in the United States are now being led by Indian CEOs and management. It just shows, how hardworking and innovative and that entrepreneurial spirit in India. And it, even for us Americans, we are super impressed. And so we expect great things from you. And I hope that maybe in a year, you can come back on the program and tell us how you're doing. Everybody check out eatkind.co.
Absolutely. Will be a pleasure to it. And thank you so much for having me, Jason. This was amazing.
Listen, if you want to be an entrepreneur or start a side project, Squarespace is an amazing place for you to start. Squarespace is the platform where you can build or sell anything. You all know about it. I've talked about Squarespace forever, but there's so many great features that they've been adding year after year. That's why we use them here at Launch for all our websites, remotedemoday.com. You can see one of our latest websites. And here are some of the features that you need to know about, because Squarespace has not only the tools to make a beautiful, well-designed site that's responsive on mobile and iPads, it also has e-commerce built in. And they do inventory management APIs, advanced analytics, in addition to those beautiful templates. Plus, they now have something called member areas. What are those? These let you generate revenue through exclusive members-only content. For example, you can sell a subscription to a cooking class or custom recipes or your photographs, whatever it is. If you can think of it, you can build it on Squarespace, and you don't have to give 15% of your top line to those other platforms, which is really greedy. That's way too high of a take. They also have appointment scheduling now, so you can add online booking to your Squarespace website. Head to squarespace.com/twist for a free trial. All of that in one simple platform. And when you're ready, you can use the offer code TWIST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. We love you, Squarespace. Thanks so much for being the longest running partner here at This Week in Startups. That means a lot to me. Hey, everybody. Welcome to This Week in Startups. Molly, it is Thursday. Therefore, we have This Week in Streaming with Lon Harris. It has been an eventful week for us. This is the most eventful week in the history of This Week in Streaming, because last week, I was a little offended, a little bit, by A.O. Scott, the famous movie critic, cinema critic, at the New York Times, for making a top 10 list of films, the 10 best films of...
Unbelievable. Stay on strike? This is how trolly you went with this?
I've been channeling my inner... S-poster, and I said, listen, stay on strike if you're going to leave Top Gun Maverick off your top 10 list, A.O. Scott.
Oh, God.
Yada, yada. I went
a
little
terrible
hard.
influence.
This is why everybody hates us. This is why everybody hates us. Lon and I do not deserve this.
I'm so sorry to both of you.
Oh, my gosh.
But I might have had a beverage. I don't know. But I was very perturbed by this list. Some people might say triggered, but I'm not going to apologize, because... I think it's an important discussion. As everybody knows, A.O. Scott named this list the top 22, the top 10 films of 2022. Not his top 22, the 10 best films. Go ahead, Lon. And then Molly
it's the 10 best films, but every critic writes their top 10 list. It's not like A.O. Scott is forcing his top 10 on everyone else. People wait all year to see what the critics' top 10 lists are going to be. Critics give their own, they have their own awards shows. It's an established thing.
Okay. All right.
It's free speech, bro.
Yeah.
Well played. It is free speech. But the exclusion of Maverick from this list triggered me.
It's not excluded. It's just not one of his 10 best movies of the year.
It's enough of my opinion. It's enough of your opinion. It's enough of Molly's opinion. It's now time to see what the internet thought. Molly, please tee this all up for us. What happened?
Jesus. They were not happy with you.
No, they were not happy. And it was amazing. And now we get to play a game that I don't think we've ever gotten to play on this game, called Mean Tweets, which we are stealing from TV. Greg F. wrote to us.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Thanks. I want advice on art, and I want it from bloodless tech. bags. So this is honestly perfect for me.
Oh, God, that's so great.
This was incredible and made me want to get t-shirts. And I want all of us to go on Disneyland cruise
Bloodless
wearing our t-shirts.
S-bags.
Bloodless tech
He's referring
S-bags.
to me. He's referring to you, not Molly.
Not anymore. Now it's in plural. We do not deserve this.
Fair point.
Oh, yeah,
So I apologize.
I will note a lot of people definitely responded to this without watching, because if you watch the video from the very beginning,
We're like,
I'm very clearly like, Jason, you're completely wrong.
Correct.
This list is great. Movies are terrific. Everyone should watch movies. I make it very clear from the beginning. So there were a lot of people who sent me stuff that made it clear that they didn't watch what I was saying in the
Of
video.
course
Just
they
assumed I agreed with you based on the thumbnail.
because it's Twitter. So of
'Cause
course
it's
they
Twitter,
didn't
right. So,
because
like,
it's
bear that in
Twitter.
mind.
Yeah.
A lot of these responses are including all of us or some of us in this when
Yes.
they really just mean Jason.
Which is why, Lon, we're also getting the t-shirts that say Bloodless Tech S-Bags. Because I'm
include
sorry, that
myself
is
as
a great
Bloodless Tech
t-shirt.
bag. Yeah.
Okay.
Really good t-shirt.
All right. Should I read this one of myself?
Oh, yeah, this
That's
is amazing.
Scott Tobias. He's a notable film
Yes, notable.
critic. Yeah, AV Club. Like I read Scott Tobias.
Who wrote,
Okay.
"This is psycho behavior. Have you considered that he loves a bunch of films you haven't seen?"
That's exactly what happened.
To which
I
Jake Howe
felt the need
responded,
to reply.
"Put the drink down."
Have you, capitalized, considered that Top Gun Maverick is the best American film in a decade?
Mm.
Which, I'll make sure to be clear, that is
I'm
pure
sure Scott
trolling.
Tobias had considered as a film critic.
I know that. I know who he is. I've read his work. I appreciate his work. But to be clear, this is a pure act of trolling now.
Yeah, it is.
Everything going
decade.
forward.
Yes, we understand. Yes.
Everything going forward is pure trolling. If people don't get that, that's totally fine. But I am leaning into this. I am literally in this tweet to break down the trolling here. I'm telling him that he hasn't considered Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, we got it.
And he's a film critic.
Yeah.
He's so proud. He's so proud of this.
I
What are we even doing here,
This
Lon?
is my time to
This
be
is Jason
an
walking into
S-poster.
the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences carrying a sink. This is a let
my
that
moment.
sink in. This is the let that sink in moment.
Have you considered
Wow.
Top Gun Maverick? Okay,
Yeah.
continue, please.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Every personality is on display right now in our Zoom too, because Lon is just like straight up go for it, all in on Twitter. I'm
Yes.
like, I'm too good
You're
for
out.
the fray. And,
You're half
which is
out.
my own issue. And
Yeah.
then Jake Hal's just like, troll, 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 troll,
It's just
troll,
like
troll,
chaos
troll,
reigns.
troll,
This
chaos
is-
reigns.
This is the corner
Chaos
of Twitter
reigns.
in which I hang out all day. Like these are
I'm
my
sorry.
people on
I
Twitter. and
apologize.
so
I'm going to
it
do a
was-
public
you
apology.
alienated him from his own
This was a
people.
worlds colliding moment for me where people are like, what are like these are a lot of people who know me only from Honest Trailers that don't even know I'm on This Week at Stars. So like, what
Yes.
are you doing on this show with these tech
Idiots.
bags?
We take our reputations in our hand every day, Lon,
Oh
and
my
we
gosh.
just go out on the limb.
Wait, what
It's
was that?
almost like, says Drew
Here we go.
McQueenie, it's almost like the person whose job it is to watch as many movies as possible has broader taste than the tech dink doofus who clearly has zero interest in film. Go figure.
Okay, we're
Drew
going to bleep
McQueenie,
that out too.
another very notable voice in
Yes.
film criticism. He was Moriarty on Ain't It Cool News, if you remember going back
Yeah.
that far.
Oh,
Hit
wow.
Hits.
Dang.
Yeah, I know Moriarty. Of course, I've read.
That's
Tech
Moriarty.
Dink
Oh.
doofus.
I love it.
Oh,
I
he
love it.
thinks
This
you're
is fantastic.
a tech dink doofus.
Tech dink
Absolutely
doofus.
fantastic.
That's a good construction.
I
Tech
these
dink
are
doofus. It
professional
has
writers,
alliteration.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
These are
good.
basically, I basically came at professional writers
Yeah.
Mhm.
with a hot take
Uh-huh.
that makes zero sense in their world. And then I
It makes
doubled
zero
and
sense. Just
it's the worst take possible.
it's not a great
Yeah.
take.
It's the worst take possible in their world. And I doubled and tripled down on it just for comedic effect.
Just quintupled even, really.
Yeah,
Troll,
really.
troll,
Continually
troll,
None
troll.
of none of these matter at the end of the day until we got this tweet. GDT.
The man,
My
the
guy.
man
One of
himself.
my favorite directors of all.
I mean,
I mean, I guess
GDT responded,
Guillermo. So
Guillermo del Toro.
yeah, I
That's
mean, Oscar
How far
winning.
this went.
There we go.
Oscar-winning
winner.
actor.
Director. Yeah.
Director.
I'm sorry, director.
Shape of
Auteur.
Water. Devil's Backbone. Pacific Rim. Crimson Peak.
Oh, so many great
Top
films.
tens are not all pageants. They, at best, declare versions of cinema that express self, and they don't close a door. They open 10.
I think that's the key point. This list doesn't mean you're not allowed to enjoy Top Gun Maverick, or it's not a great movie and it didn't do what it needed to do. It's just saying, here are 10 films that for A.O. Scott were significant this year that he would like to share with his readership. I think that's the spirit in which to take this
And yet
list.
our troll friend was unbowed. Unbowed.
Listen, you're going to fight with
literally
Guillermo del Toro.
Wrote back to Guillermo del Toro. Bro, did you even see Top Gun Maverick?
Who is such
Do you even lift?
The nicest, kindest, most generous soul. Just a genuinely great guy.
A mensch.
A mensch. A true
You can tell because he
Guillermo
didn't
del
call you
Toro.
like a bloodless tech dink bag.
Yeah,
after
not
you
here
responded.
to insult anybody. He's a true artist, and he wants to share these films. You know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jake Hell don't care. Did
Don't
you see
care,
Top Gun
I
Maverick?
loved Hellboy. I just want to say I loved the Hellboy. He did the Hellboy stuff, right?
Those
I
were
like
good.
I
Those
like
were
his
good too.
Hellboy films as well.
I love the Hellboy stuff.
And did
I
it
think
make your top 10?
Pan's
great.
Labyrinth.
Jason wants to know. That was
Pan's
incredible.
Labyrinth.
Pan's
Amazing.
Labyrinth is fantastic. Have you seen The Devil's Backbone? That's
You're
a
just
great
looking
early
up
one
his
he did
movies
when
right
he was
now, aren't
still
you?
making
I am,
films
because
in
I'm looking
Mexico.
through them because I've always loved them. It's one of the few directors that when I see his name, I go see the film. I don't care
I
what it's
agree.
about.
Should
but I
we-
would say
I
Chronos
know it's going to
and
be
Devil's
interesting. Shape
Backbone
of Water,
are
I love.
great
Tell me
early
about that
ones.
Devil's Backbone, please.
Devil's Backbone is it's set during the Spanish Civil War, and it's at an orphanage where a bunch of like children orphaned by the war, whatever, are living. And it's really like a kind of a coming of age drama set among these kids at this orphanage, but it's also a ghost story. They start seeing the ghost of a boy
Can't wait.
in this orphanage property and investigating, how did this boy die? And so it becomes like a ghost story, kind of a suspense horror film, but it's really mainly about these kids and this orphanage where they're staying. Fantastic. I mean,
I enjoyed
maybe his
Pacific
best
Rim.
film.
I enjoy Pacific Rim.
He's
People
got Pacific
weren't
Rim.
crazy about Pacific
Loved
Rim,
it.
right? Did that split the critics, and people thought that was a little out of his wheelhouse?
Yeah, I mean, it was not one of his most beloved films. The first one did pretty well and has a big cult following. It was followed by, he did not direct the sequel. The sequel
Right.
was not very
The
well
sequel
I
received.
didn't even know there was a
Kinda-
sequel. If I'm
It's
being
Yeah,
not
Pacific
good.
Rim Uprising. Michael B. Jordan's in it. It's not as good.
I'll just say The Shape of Water to me
Oh, no,
is
is it
like
John Boyega who's in
The
Pacific
Shape
Rim
of Water to me. Wow, just poetic,
And
beautiful.
Nightmare Alley was great too. It's John Boyega who's in Pacific Rim.
Right.
Got
Good
it.
opening scene in Pacific
Okay,
Rim too.
so
and
there
then
you
after
have
that,
it.
it's all downhill.
But he said, I told him, like, listen, make a top 10 list. He says he doesn't want to do that. Or he does. What was his
Because-
quote?
Well, I think
I
that,
only do top 10s under pressure.
because
I told him I'd buy the Blu-ray of every single one in his top 10, and I don't own a Blu-ray player, so I will support those directors.
I think it's because of this. Like we all have this hyper competitive instinct. I mean, the Oscars, you see it come out too. Those are meant to be celebrating movies, but it becomes this like cutthroat, like that doesn't deserve it this way. Like we're seeing it right now with Everything Everywhere All at Once, a delightful movie that is now it's causing all of these debates and arguments. Is it worthy of Best Picture? Should Michelle Yeoh get it instead of should they have nominated Stephanie Sue instead of Jamie Lee Curtis? And it's like, these are supposed to be celebrations of movies that highlight great things to watch, not
Which one's the better film, Top Gun Maverick
competitive
or
debates.
But you can't,
or
it's a
Everything All
no
at Once?
win.
Which is the better one for you? Lon?
Exactly. It's a
Top
no
Gun Maverick,
win situation.
What was the other one?
I haven't seen the other one yet. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
which should win
I
Best
like
Picture.
them both. I don't. I
No.
mean, I
This
think
is
you
how
voted.
I am. This is how I am. I like trashy action movies.
Okay, then you
Not
have to put trashy in front of
exclusively.
it. You just say
I think I
action
liked
films.
Maverick
But
a
that's
little
what I like.
better than
Yes, of
Everything
course.
Everywhere All at Once. But
course.
having said that, I would love to see that movie get its flowers, mainly for Michelle Yeoh, who's been amazing in movies
Yes.
for decades.
She's incredible.
And has never
Okay.
been in that category of A-list actresses who's given her own projects and get award consideration. And she's been amazing for forever. So I'd love to see her win.
I recommend people see Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I love
think
the movie.
I recommend it. It's on my
Yeah.
recommended list.
I enjoyed it very much, and
is-
she's
I'm
fantastic.
making my
And
top 10 list, too.
Kwan, the guy who played Short
Troll.
Round and had disappeared for
Yes.
years and is now a supporting actor in this,
Is wonderful
he's
in it.
Fantastic, also. I would love
Lots
to
to
see him
love
win
in
too.
that film.
Making these lists and making and issuing awards has always been a no-win game. It is a Kobayashi Maru, but
Okay.
never more than in the age of
It's from
social
Star Trek.
media, where everyone's all of a sudden got an equal opinion, and like the desire to be enraged at Jason is what actually really astonished me about this. Like enraged, like
Yeah.
it literally does not matter in the slightest. It should not matter to A.O. Scott. It should not matter
No.
to any filmmaker. And I mean, I say this with all due respect. Why do people give a shit what J. Cal says about your top 10 list?
I can
Who
tell
cares?
you why. I can tell you why. I can tell you why this is so contentious. There is so little at stake.
Yeah.
That's why we're doubling down on this, and we're going to watch every single film on A.O. Scott's top 10 list.
That's great.
Yeah,
and today, because I am open-minded to him having a top 10 list. I am offended that the New York Times calls it the best movies of 2022. We took the one that Molly was most interested in seeing and that I was most interested in seeing, which is a cyberpunk sci-fi film, something that is in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
This is, of his top 10 list, the one that would appeal most to me, just given genre. I like indie films. I like sci-fi. I love indie sci-fi. I love cyberpunk. Oh, it's right in my wheelhouse. So let's get to it. Molly, you watched Neptune, Frost.
Yep. I watched it last night.
So
it is described as a science fiction romantic musical. It's directed by Saul Williams, who's a rapper and a poet.
Yeah, and a music. I think he does beats as well, like a musician, poet, spoken word artist, rapper, a lot of those kinds of things.
Alongside Anicia Uzeman. It is the synopsis. It's a very like hard plot to describe, and it takes a lot of.
I think you could get there.
You can do it.
It
right?
takes a while to sort of reveal like
May
what's
I also
going
just
on.
say before we get into the film that the creators of the film, and we'll pull up the tweets, also jumped in on. They are, you don't know this, Molly, the director and creator of the films.
What?
They are also in now on the A.O. Scott controversy, and Jake dunking on it.
I saw Saul Williams engaging.
Now this is gonna, whatever we say right now, I'm warning you, Molly, when we clip it, we are going to mention them, and they will see this. So I just, fair warning to everybody.
Well, then good, because I watched it and I liked it.
I thought it was terrific.
You liked.
So please,
terrific.
Neptune Frost creators,
it's
please
terrific.
feel free to watch this video. I'm fine with it.
Let's go Molly first. You described it. Finish describing it.
Finish describing it.
Yes, please finish describing it.
It does take a while to understand effectively like what the plot is. So you have the synopsis from the internet is probably the best way to go. A group of escaped miners, they mine this metal element called coltan, which is a big part of consumer electronics, forms an anti-colonialist computer hacker collective in the hilltops of Burundi. They soon attempt a takeover of the authoritarian regime that's exploiting the region's natural resources and its people. It is it's like astoundingly visual. It's completely it's just an act of pure creativity, the entire movie. I found all the languages actually delightful because it was really fun to try to figure out when they'd switch, and sometimes they'd be in French, and I just am kind of like a linguist and I liked that. And it is sort of also this like beautiful love story. And then, I'm there, I'm here for the like anti-consumerist message that's basically like, you don't even care. You sit there with your iPhones and your internet and your Google, and you have no interest in the people who suffer and die for this, on the continent.
And what you're saying is it touched on a lot of important themes, if I may summarize. It was very visual and artistic.
It was mesmerizing. You cannot look away.
Mesmerizing, great.
Yeah.
And also a little confusing, came up in all the reviews I read, because I went and I said, what do the other critics think? And some of them were derogatory in how confusing it was. Other ones felt it was superficial. And then other people thought it was God's gift to the world. This is a very polarizing film. Correct, Lon?
I would say somewhat. I mean, I think like most established critics were like on the pro side. If you look at Rotten Tomatoes, this is like in the 80%
hugely positive reviews.
Like, I think most critics are on board. I would say for general audiences, like, look, I think nobody's arguing this is a tougher nut to crack than like a Top Gun Maverick. It's experimental. It's taking big chances with narrative choices. Like, it's not a clear through line kind of story. And a lot of the dialogue is very sort of poetic, very sort of esoteric, kind of thoughtful. And I think that, that could be a little alienating to a mainstream audience. But I think if you 96% and even 75% on the audience score is very good for a movie that's this challenging. So I wouldn't say it's divisive.
Well, and it's early days. It's early days on the ratings. My prediction is those numbers will come down, because when you have an art house hit like this, a a Sundance circuit. I know it was a I think
it was a Cannes. Yeah,
it was a Cannes.
Yeah,
but these independent films do extraordinary with critics, and then they tend to do much worse. It's not, as you're saying,
this
Lon,
is a movie that's ever going to reach,
individuals,
mainstream American audiences.
Yeah,
they would. I will speak for mainstream American audiences. They will hate it, but a percentage will, if you're open-minded, will like it.
I don't think that's true.
It turns
out, if you give it 30, 40 minutes, you're going to be in for the most part. If you're an open-minded person who's open to these kinds of thoughtful experiments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that is the key. Now, Molly, if you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you wind up? No eights.
I am not.
No. I'm going to be you're going to be, I think you might be surprised.
Did you seriously
Molly,
say no eights?
No eights. You can do half points.
Why can't you do eights? What's the matter with eights?
Because that's the coward's score. Anybody who wants to give a rating and they don't want to take a position does 8, because you can't, it's not saying I love it. 9 means you love it. 7 means you appreciate it, but it's not a 9. So I'll let you do a half point, but I will not let an 8 on this program for movie ratings of these AO Scots. So please play along, because I know you're going 8.
I was definitely going to go 8.
Because I'm not calling you a coward here. It's the safe rating. It's the safe rating. You don't want to insult anybody, so you go 8. Nobody feels bad about an 8.
Yeah.
But if you give it a 7, that might make people feel bad, and you can't give it a 9. Give me your rating.
7.5.
Okay. Lon?
I'm a 9. I might be a 9.5, honestly.
Okay.
Wow.
You're deranged, but okay. But that's exactly right.
You represent by the end of this movie.
Lon gets art. Lon is more of an artistic human.
Exactly. Gradual start. Like for the first 15, 20 minutes, you got to kind of you got to meet the filmmakers halfway. You got to be like, okay, I'm investing.
Very generous of you.
I'm
investing my attention. But by the time you get to the halfway point, when the musical sort of sequences start to kick in, when some of these fantasy sequences start to kick in, when he meets the wheelman, and there's a lot of sort of like neon black light, like weird effects and stuff, it gets very cool. And I thought it was really fascinating. By the last half hour, it is mesmerizing.
It is mesmerizing.
Yes. Okay. Molly represents the mass audience. She gives it 7.5. Lon, you represent the Critics' Corner. You give it a 9. Completely accurate.
Yeah.
We actually mirror Rotten Tomatoes directly.
Very, very closely.
Directly.
Yeah. I mean, this feels like exactly the kind of movie I want to hear a guy like A.O. Scott recommend. It's something thoughtful I probably wouldn't have gotten to see on my own, but now that I read about it and hear about it, I think it's great.
Now here comes J. Cal.
Now
there's no red flags to be had here. Everybody relax. Everybody
I'm tensed up.
Everybody's very tense.
He's making his delighted face, and that always makes me a little nervous. Like, what's he so happy about?
I enjoy being able to show my face.
I am a fan of independent cinema. I am also a fan, that you don't know this, I am actually a fan of experimental cinema. So let's just take a pause.
I knew this.
Okay, all right, let's hear it.
Knew this.
Let's hear it. Lay it on us.
Okay, Neptune, Frost. This is J. Cal's review. I haven't edited this yet. This is from immediately after watching it last night. A Neptune Frost is a cyberpunk experimental film that drifts into a musical, or perhaps better said, TikTok-length music videos. The story is incomprehensible much, heck, maybe most, of the time, with dialogue that switches from poetic to pretentious. Incredibly creative, with costumes, visuals, and ambient music and sounds that feel like Burning Man and cyberpunk installations I've seen at raves. It makes no sense while hitting on important themes. Having little plot, but after a slow start, will pull in most viewers. Could have gone more music and been a rock opera, like Tommy or The Wall, or an cyberpunk indie film. But that was not the auteur's direction. Happy they made the film. I am happy they got the recognition. And while it might be the greatest experimental film of the year, it is not a top 10 film of the year for me.
For you. Yep. Good ad.
It is a hypnotic, trippy cyberpunk with 90s graphics that I found delightfully intriguing.
There you go.
Oh my God, look at you.
I'm a writer.
That's a great review.
You are a writer. If I were going to write a review, That's exactly what I would have said.
I think that's
lovely.
right, just about right on. I mean, I don't agree. I don't think it's that incomprehensible. I think for a while it's a little confusing, and I think that by the halfway point, once the sort of main characters that we're watching, Metalusa and Neptune, once they've sort of met up with the others at the camp.
Don't give any spoilers, please. We want people to see this.
On, it follows a pretty followable rise and fall. Like this collective comes together. They've got these elaborate plans, but then the people are onto them, and there's an infiltrator. There's a story. There's a beat of
spoilers, but there is a story.
I want to commend the filmmakers.
There you go.
I want to congratulate the filmmakers. This is a true piece of art. I think 6 or 7 Americans will turn it off after 20 minutes. I think the 3 or 4 who don't and who practice some patience and sit in their movie theater with their phones turned off, I think of those, let's say, I think 7 of 10 Americans, and I'm talking about just mainstream Americans, 10 out of 10 will love Maverick. 7 out of 10 will turn this film off, regrettably, after 30 minutes, because it'll move too slow and be too confusing for them. For the 7, and then the 3 who make it through will not. For the 7, of those 7, if they stick it out, I think another 3 will like it. So I think 6 out of 10 Americans would actually like this film, which means the filmmakers could have done a better job in editing, or could have got better advice in the beginning. I think
not their job it's not their job, their vision to meet people who are closed-minded about movies halfway.
Is this their first film? Is it their first film?
I believe it is. It is. But
so this is a first film. Like many first films, Lon, the filmmakers need to get better at editing and tighten it up and maybe work a little on dialogue or plot. It's not a perfect film.
Well,
but it is a film worth seeing. It is a film worth your consideration.
There you go. I think that's a good. That's
it's not number 2.
But the goal of like an artist is not 100%.
Right,
100% approval.
To make a statement, and then you can meet them there and enjoy it and get something out of it or not. And look, if there are people out there who they watch 15 minutes of this and it's too much for them and they don't get it and they don't want to turn it off,
it's not for them.
That's up to you. That's not a statement on the movie or you as a person. Not everything is for everybody.
I think that's the luxury of art. I actually think that is the luxury and difference, and that is why there is such a phrase as mainstream, because mainstream is separate from
Here's what I'll say:
experimental and
but
from
I think this
high
is
art.
I think this is exactly why these kinds of lists exist, because none of the 3 of us would have probably watched this if it wasn't on A.O. Scott's list.
Yeah, that's true. I just also would like to state that my review, having read A.O. Scott's review after reading mine, I wrote a better review. That's it. So to A.O. Scott,
I had to get that in there.
I am a better writer and critic. I'm saying it right now. You can call me tech dink, doofus, whatever you want.
I will.
100% of Americans reading my review or A.O. Scott's, take our names off of it, will prefer my review.
I'm going to be in the comments calling you a tech dink doofus.
You can. I'm a better film critic. Coming out of the gate.
Wow.
Decades of experience.
Don't engage, Lon. Don't engage.
Thousands of films.
Don't engage, Lon.
What's this that I see here? What's this? Another tweet? What's this one?
No, that's true. We saw it.
This is Tech Dink Doofus again. That's just Nick. Nick trolling back.
I wanted to hear the filmmakers, and I would like to. This is going to be crazy.
I heard from some writer from the Austin Chronicle who was very critical of me, not just you both, but me.
Okay, well, did he actually watch the conversation?
I don't know. I shouldn't have even been in the video with you.
They should listen to our conversation, and then they should listen to this conversation. Okay, well, they should listen to this.
Thank you for coming on here and putting your reputation at risk week after week. We appreciate you, bro.
I don't really have it.
Okay, I'm just going to let people know that I am fans of these filmmakers, and I think they have great potential. They did this as a Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And shot in 27 days.
And
I want to applaud.
It's epic scale. They get a lot. There's a lot visually going on in what's deceptively a simple kind of story.
From a cinematic troll, I would like to say, I am in awe of what they created in such a short period of time. And I don't know the budget, but I don't think this is more than $1 million, because it certainly doesn't.
Much less, no.
This looks like $250K. I mean, they made art, and it was compelling enough with graphics that were done, obviously, without industrial light magic. I mean, these are graphics done on a laptop, obviously. But they made you want to keep watching when you got past 34 minutes. Here's what I want to see. I want to see them get a budget. I want to see somebody give these auteurs a budget. And I cannot wait to see their second or third film when they have a budget, and perhaps, if it is their want, they catch the audience with something exciting to latch onto in the first 20 minutes in the way Lucas, Spielberg, Scorsese, just any of the other mainstream filmmakers do, Tom Cruise, whoever. I want to see what they can do with a budget and if they capture audiences early. If they go auteur for their careers, obviously that's for them. Great.
My son and I talk about this all the time.
Awesome.
My son and I talk about this all the time.
Okay.
The first album, my son's gotten really into rap. No. The first album is always the best because the first album is the least produced.
Okay.
And the most authentic. And as they go throughout time, they get more and more produced, and you start to get like more auto-tune and more layers in the background. Like they don't have to.
I think
lo-fi,
this is sometimes
in fact, lo-fi, sometimes it's not always true.
Yeah,
and
there are definitely
you may be
rappers
right.
who, they sort of their
take
third
my
or
larger
fourth album
point.
becomes like
Lon,
the mission statement, like Kendrick or Jay-Z.
Lon, don't get pedantic on me here. Take my larger point.
Okay.
My larger point is that these guys don't have to do that.
Right.
Lo-fi is a musical style, or I'm sorry, a movie making style that's very specific, and they had a small budget. Like they don't have to.
They don't
have to become label sellouts.
Mixtapes, exactly.
Yes.
Does this apply? Does Molly's point apply to filmmakers, Lon? I was always of the thinking that the sequel, often the second of the sequels is better than the original. Terminator 2 coming to mind, Empire Strikes Back coming to mind for some of these hits, but I know that's not always. But let me ask it another way. Like for a director, and I think, Molly, your point is, some people like the rawness, and then other people like the polish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, really I get it. Like there's a breakthrough period. I don't think it's usually first films are usually seen just like, as you said, as sort of, getting your feet, sort of making your sort of statement. And then it's the second, third, fourth films that become the breakthrough. I think like Wes Anderson would be a good example. Like Bottle Rocket, the first movie, everybody was like, who's this kid? This is funny. What's this weird thing? Everybody was like, but then Rushmore and Royal Tenenbaums were the second and third film. They really cemented, this is a Wes Anderson film. Tarantino, same thing. Reservoir Dogs,
Pulp Fiction.
Huge breakthrough. Who is this guy? This is incredible. But it's Pulp Fiction, the second film that became the bedrock. This is what a Quentin Tarantino film is.
What do you like better, Pulp Fiction or Reservoir, Molly? Rate them. Which
Pulp
one?
Fiction.
You had to watch it tonight. Which one would you want to watch?
I'd watch Pulp Fiction.
But I mean, and then to think about Tarantino as a guy who really kind of even built, like, I think, maybe Django, Inglourious Bastards, maybe his best movie. Like, he only got sort of better with age in some ways.
It's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for me.
Like, I think he's one of those guys that
you're going all the way to produced.
I say.
Too.
Yeah, I got to think about my rankings. Okay, now let's do.
If you give me the whole, you're giving me the whole thing to choose from, then yes, I would actually.
This is a very interesting experiment. Now let's do. Have you seen Bottle?
Jackie Brown was his follow-up.
I have seen Bottle Rocket,
which maybe his best one.
And you've also seen Rushmore and Tannenbaums, I take it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so give me your ranking, Molly. Then Lon, I want yours. You got 1, 2, 3 is the order. Now give me the ranking, Molly Wood's ranking of those films.
God, it's been a really long time since I saw Rushmore, so I'm just going to put that third because I can't remember it very well. And then I'm going to go. I'm going to actually go Bottle Rocket, Tenenbaums, Rushmore.
1, 3, 2. Go ahead, Lon. I'll give you the correct ranking after Lon.
Rushmore's my favorite. I go Rushmore, Tenenbaums, Bottle Rocket. Because Bottle Rocket, it's a fun comedy, but it really, like, his style kind of got solidified later.
Lon, it came close. The correct order is 2, 1, 3, like the area code in Los Angeles. Okay. Very good.
Consider P.T. Anderson's got an amazing. His first movie,
do that. Let's do that.
His first movie was Hard 8 with Philip Baker Hall, John C. Reilly, which is great. Kind of a minor key character study. His second film ever was Boogie Nights. Imagine going from Hard 8 immediately into Boogie Nights. This epic scale, like
10 times better, 100 times better.
What a leap for your. I mean, I like Hard 8 a lot, but that leap.
What's the third, fourth, and fifth? Pull it up on IMDb. Let's get that going. Third, fourth, and fifth.
Was it? I think Punch Drunk Love was Magnolia was the follow up to Boogie Nights.
I rewatched it recently on your recommendation, and Magnolia stands up.
I mean, he just went on to do. I mean, after they're all bangers after Boogie Nights because then it's
4,
Punch
5,
Drunk
6.
Love. then it's
Okay,
The Master, then
The
it's
Master,
There
my
Will Be
favorite.
Blood.
My
I mean,
second favorite.
it just doesn't stop. Phantom Thread, Inherent Vice, they're all great. They're all
For
they're all
me,
great.
it's The Master, There Will Be Blood,
There Will Be Blood's probably
and then
my
Boogie
favorite.
Nights. Those are my three favorite. Every time I switch my 1 and 2 with him,
Yeah,
because if I see The Master and then I see There Will Be Blood, I go There Will Be Blood, and when I see The Master, I
It's
switch
just
it.
nonstop. I mean,
They're
that's
just too
that
good.
guy.
Are you a fan,
I didn't love
Molly?
Licorice Pizza as much, but
I haven't
like
seen
all
those
the
two.
others.
Okay,
I've seen
all right.
Boogie Nights and Magnolia, which I love.
The
The
Master is
Master
incredible.
is one of the greatest pieces of
So-
cinema,
so
top 10
great.
for me.
All right.
Philip
You can
Seymour
see.
Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix.
And Amy
play.
Adams is also
And Amy
fantastic in
Adams
that.
is
One of her
just
best.
on par. Yeah, they just didn't give her enough of a role. I was a little. She could have used more
She's
time.
great.
I think.
She's great there.
It-
Kind
this
of random
film-
note too, but Magnolia is like the return of Tom Cruise. Remember, he was just like gone for a while, all young and sweaty,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he showed back up in Magnolia, like looking
Well, people
rugged
forget
and
that
like
he can really
new
bring
hot.
it if you give him the right character. And Frank
can,
T.J. Mackey, one of his all-time great, creations, like Les Grossman in Tropic
Yes.
Thunder. Like people don't remember Tom Cruise can do that until you give him a chance to do it.
Yeah, they got to. He's got to become. He's got to be in like more ensemble films as things you don't expect.
I love Ethan Hunt. If he wants to keep being Ethan Hunt, that's fine with me too.
Oh, forever. Please be Ethan Hunt
Maverick,
forever.
Pete Maverick Mitchell. These are great characters, but he can also play
He really
these
can.
very different other notes if you throw him a different kind of script.
May I
Lestat,
make
Vampire
just a final
Lestat.
statement here?
Please.
This is a message to Neptune Frost's filmmakers. I wish you great success.
Thank you. That's great.
If you do another GoFundMe, Kickstarter rather, I will be the first to put a non-insignificant donation and or
I love
investment in this
this.
film. I don't invest in
Fantastic.
films, but I will give a non-insignificant donation
This is
/
great.
investment.
Wonderful.
I am a
news.
fan of the filmmakers. And to A.O. Scott, your list is terrible.
Ah.
I'm a better writer. But thank you for introducing me to, if you had made this list, A.O. Scott's best films of the year. I thank you.
There you go. What's our next pick, by the way? Where are we going
amazing.
next?
I know. What are we going to watch next?
I will say Mr. Bachman and his class is currently streaming on Mubi, which I just
I want to see
recently
Tar
signed up for
most of all.
Mubi.
Tar.
Oh, I loved Tar.
Tar is the other one I wrote down too. Okay.
Well, also, isn't Tar also of the moment in terms of cancel culture,
I
etc.?
mean, there's more to it than that. There's one big scene
Yes.
that is about her
Which I saw.
kind of bickering about woke culture with a student at Juilliard. So
Yes.
that is there, and it is kind of a story of a cancellation in some ways, but there's a lot more. That's oversimplifying.
But it's Tilda.
It's Kate Blanchett. Kate
Oh, sorry,
Blanchett
Kate
plays a
Blanchett.
world-class composer and conductor.
I'm there
like,
for her.
like a legendary, the conductor of the Berlin
right, we
Orchestra,
got it.
who's like a legendary conductor, and it is about this pivotal moment in her life and career where there's scandals and controversies, but it's also about her personal life and what she's going through. And it sort of takes it from a lot of different levels. Kate Blanchett, absolutely incredible, a fantastic script, great cinematography, a really terrific movie.
As we wrap, can we get your commentary, Lon, on what has happened in the DC universe?
Oh my goodness.
Molly and I will step back.
It makes total. I
And let you
mean,
go.
we're starting to get the first real indications of what new DC Studios heads, Peter Safran and James Gunn, are planning. And from what it sounds like so far, it is a page one reset. But we don't have final confirmation about everything yet, but we already knew that Wonder Woman 3 looks like it's done. Gal Gadot looks like she's done being our Wonder Woman. We already knew that. Now they seem to confirm Henry Cavill is done being Superman. James Gunn is now at work on a script about a young Clark Kent that's going to reboot the character, and we're going to get a younger Clark Kent who's already, it's not Smallville, he's already Superman, but we're starting out at the beginning of his Superman career when he's still like a cub reporter at the Daily Planet. So it'll be a reboot on Superman, new actor. We don't have final word, but it's starting to sound like once we're done with the current, they've got a few banked movies. They've got this Flash movie with Ezra Miller. They've got Aquaman 2 with Jason Momoa. They've got Shazam 2 with Zachary Levi. They've got this Blue Beetle film that was going to be for HBO Max, but they're now putting in theaters. Once that's done by 2023, early 2024, I think conventional wisdom is we're done with the entire Snyderverse lineup, all of those actors, and we're going to get a new DC universe in terms of the stars and rebooted version.
Molly, what are you most disappointed at in this announcement?
Wonder Woman for sure.
Yeah, me too.
But also, if they're going to can Cavill as Superman, can't he come back to The Witcher? I'm just saying inquiring moms want to know.
The Witcher... Now
at least you didn't say another word. That is moms is the first of the acronym.
Rumor is, there's no confirmation on any of this, but the rumor is that Cavill wanted out of The Witcher for reasons not
moms
related.
Love Henry.
Oh, sure.
Moms
is that like divorced moms look at him as like second husband material or second boyfriend rebound material?
I'm pretty sure this is a pan mom. I think this is all moms.
All moms matter. And a lot of men too.
And a lot of men too.
Yeah. Henry Cavill, a sex symbol among a lot of different people, I would say.
A lot of different...
He has mass appeal.
Because he's got the traditional, like he's a big, good looking, handsome, traditional looking guy, but he's also a huge nerd. Like he loves Warhammer and collecting action figures and video games. And so I think that's a lot of appeal for a lot of people out there too. Yeah.
Call Molly.
Yeah, he seems like to be like a cool guy to hang out with in addition to being a hunk.
It's totally happening.
We are just off the rails right now. Just off the rails.
All right, thanks, Lon. I will just say I am intrigued by the Superman pitch, and I think we said go young with the reboot and get the Gen Zs, the millennials and the Gen Zs on board. If they get a 25-year-old Superman to go with Robert Pattinson, that thing's going to be explosive. It's not for us. It's for the 20-year-olds.
The internet wants Austin Butler. The internet wants Elvis star Austin Butler, who was just Elvis in Baz Luhrmann's Elvis movie this year, is getting a lot of Oscar buzz. A very good-looking guy. A lot of people are like, and he's going to be Fade Routha in Dune 2, by the way.
Great hair.
He's taking over for Sting's role in the second Dune movie. Look out for that.
Great hair.
This kid's 100% baby Superman.
So they're saying this guy would be our next
And who
Superman.
are they saying would be the young Wonder Woman?
I haven't seen a lot of speculation out there
I think
yet.
it needs to be that Wednesday
yesterday
girl.
When they announced Cavill's not coming back as Superman, immediately Twitter blew up with, it should be Austin Butler taking over.
But no one cares about the lady, so no one even bothered with Wonder Woman. God. It should be that girl from Wednesday.
Another Wonder Woman project like hitting the ground running right now. We're sort of waiting for
I'm just being snarky.
Yeah. But no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Sadly, no. That girl from Wednesday. That should be the next Wonder Woman.
Jen
Ortega. She could do it, sure.
Too young? Too small?
I mean, it
doesn't she have to be an Amazon?
Gal Gadot was tiny when they remember everybody was like, she's too skinny because we all knew her from the Fast and Furious movies.
Her powers are, she's a demigod. She doesn't need to, like,
she's 6
work
foot.
out.
She's supposed to be taller than Batman in the.
Maybe I'm being too literal. Amazons are, they're athletic.
Who was the woman from House of Dragon?
That's what Nick is saying too, right? Millie Alcock.
Millie Alcock's the younger one. Emma Darcy's the older Rhaenyra.
I kind of like Millie Alcock as a wild card.
She's very young.
I kind of like both, if I'm being honest. Either of those could work because they're both just strong.
I guess she's 22. That's not that young. She could be a young Diana.
She could do this. Sure. Actually, I could see this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see it.
I want to see pictures of her when she's not in Game of Thrones to make my decision in casting.
Right. Well, they did. They made her look a little younger so that it would distinguish her from Emma Darcy.
She looked like she was 17 years old in the thing. Yeah.
Right.
But okay, here we go. Thanks, Lon. We'll see you next week. And to A.O. Scott, I'm coming for your job. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Read my review.
Nothing
take
but
some
respect
notes.
from me.
I think I'll go a lot being clear. I was like, I got to get off this thing.
I'm out.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Thursday. Molly.
Yeah.
Great job on your movie. It's a great review. Great. The show is great this week. Great review.
Great this week.
I got Tahoe energy. I got big Tahoe energy.
Good ski vibes.
I got out 2 days. 2 hours a day, 7 runs a day. I just warm myself up. I got a ton of work. I'm doing Launch Fund 4 meetings, going very well. I got a lot of work. I got a lot of show to do, but I got a couple of runs and feeling great.
It's the key. You got to do it. You need balance.
Got to get out in the fresh air. I feel good. Look at there's that guy going by. That's just should be me. There he goes.
So amazing.
I'm assuming you see the view
turn
from
around,
my
open
studio.
a door, and run right out. Right? Like
I could do that actually. That'd be hilarious. But yes, that's the ski run behind me, and this is not a fake background. That's me. All right. Great job, everybody. Thanks to our producers who are running a tight ship suddenly. Very nicely done, everybody. I really like the production here. Good job. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.